Hello, everyone. This is meteorologist Ted Keller with today's severe thunderstorm outlooks, meaning this is today's edition of what will be a pretty active 2 days. Today, Saturday, and then Sunday, and then it quiets down quite a bit again after that. But you can see today's severe thunderstorm risk is centered pretty much on central and northern Kansas and a small sliver of southern Nebraska. That's where the risk is highest, level 3 out of 5. Large area surrounding that of slight, that's 2, and then marginal. And folks in the Ozarks, that marginal risk does get into about the northwest half of southwest Missouri, basically. It's not too much of a threat for today for us. Now, tomorrow's a different story. If we take a look at breaking this down, the tornado risk, as you see here, is at a 2%. It doesn't really get into the Springfield or southwest Missouri area, but it does affect Kansas City. And then there's a 5% tornado risk in an area from around Topeka and Wichita, sweeping back to the northwest to Scottsbluff, Nebraska. It includes North Platte, Kearney, those areas, Sterling, Colorado, and everything along I-70. And they have gone with a intensity 1 scale there. So that hatching in black basically just means in tornado intensity, it's most likely going to be an E of 0 or 1 if 1 occurs. And the probability of getting an E of 2 or higher is about a 1 out of 5 chance, basically. And then we break it down even more. We take a look at the wind risk for today. Again, getting into summer, the wind risk starts to peak a little bit more on average, while the hail risk goes down a little bit. Of course, that's just a running kind of average statement, not applicable to every situation, but the wind risk is pretty high at a 30% chance of a severe wind gust in that area in red. And the hatching, I didn't put the intensity level on there, but it is the lowest of the 3 that you can pick for severe wind intensity. For severe hail risk, it goes up to 30% again in extreme west Kansas, a sliver of Colorado and Nebraska, as you can see there, and a 30% chance of a 1-inch hailstone or larger occurring within a 25-mile radius. And again, the hatching area is basically weighed toward everything below 2 inches and heavily weighed to everything from 1 inch to about 1.5 inches or so. Not on the, and there's only 2 of those intensity levels for hail. I'm not my regular location, so that's why my audio is off and some of my graphics I don't have available to me, just so you know. Now, the tornado risk for today, Saturday, is interesting. There is a little sliver there, as you can see, of 5% in brown there around Sterling, Colorado, but also significantly there's a little risk there right between Lawrence and the Kansas City area. So just kind of watch out for that corridor there along and just south of I-70. There appears to be a slight enhanced tornado risk for today. On CSU's look at it, they don't mention that tornado risk that far east, but they do bullseye it again right in that area of western Kansas, right around Goodland, Kansas, and up to the north and east of that again toward that Sterling, Kansas area. Hail and wind are equally at 15%, but in a pretty small area, but in agreement with what SPC has outlined, certainly. Take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Sunday, slight risk area. Still out there around North Platte and that area of western Kansas, but also includes now a large portion of southern Kansas, all of southern Kansas for the most part, and northern Oklahoma, sweeping on over into the Ozarks and ending up in southern Illinois. And so that's a pretty good risk for, middle, almost late June. To get that kind of organized severe weather. It means the jet stream's still active. We have the unstable air that can be tapped into for sure for Sunday. We'll take a look at the tornado risk. I posted this on Facebook for folks in the Ozarks, but we do have a tornado risk. It's at 2% for most of the Ozarks, but the heaviest concentration, if you will, the highest risk is 5%. It runs from the northern and northeastern part of the Ozarks, central Missouri basically, Columbia, Jefferson City, Lake of the Ozarks, all in this, Camdenton's in this, and that sweeps right through the St. Louis area, goes as far north as about Hannibal, it stops just short of Springfield, Illinois, goes on over to the Illinois-Indiana border, and so that's that same area that got the tornadoes the other day. So Illinois has been the tornado capital here this season so far, especially recently. And the intensity level, again, is at a 1 out of 5 chance of a EF2 or greater, and a 5% overall chance of any tornado forming in that brown area. We Take a look at the wind risk. It's not as great on Sunday, only a 10% risk there in yellow, and that same sweeping area includes most of the slight risk area. And then the hail risk is actually higher, where we can get the colder air aloft out on the western end of that slight risk area there, where they do have a hatching out for that as well. We'll take a look at CSU's look for tomorrow. They put the tornado bullseye at 10% there in southern Illinois, and a large swath of brown, 5%, that runs through the Ozarks down along I-44 to Tulsa, includes central Missouri, and does include the St. Louis area, with hail risk out there, but the wind risk, a little blotchy, 15% little area showing up there in Missouri and back down around Oklahoma City or so. So something to be contended with on Sunday for sure. Then on Monday, things really settle down quite a bit. Only a marginal risk in a broad swath from the Rockies through the south central U.S. and over on into the coastal areas of North Carolina and Virginia. So a low risk there, but they may have room to upgrade that. Of course, that's a 3-day forecast, so they probably certainly will. CSU does put a tornado risk in that area, and they do highlight a little bit of an area there around our nation's capital as getting a 5% risk, with wind being a little bit more of a danger in that particular setup on Monday than the hail is. Finally, we'll take a look at the supercell composite outlook from Northern Illinois University. Next 7 days on average, pixel by pixel, they add up each day's percentage, and it's pretty high in those areas. Basically, the next 2 days is what accounts for nearly all of that percentage. Again, it's not a specific forecast for any given day. June 27th through July 3rd, a little more blotchy, but still showing up to the highest percentages through Kansas, for example, and up around the Dakotas and Minnesota, interestingly. But it should be shifting north as we get into the summer months, but it won't give up. July 4th through the 10th. Again, this is of the 3 forecasts. This is the longest into the distance, into the future. So this is week 3. So it's going to be a little more questionable. But some supercell composites showing up in Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, and also up in Montana.